Hey Roland, we're down here on Main Street. I was just traveling through and we ran into Senator Peter Galbraith, and we're just going to talk with him a little bit about his take on the storm. How do you do, Senator?
Fine. Yourself?
Pretty good. Nice to see you today. What do you think of this storm?
Well, the word that comes to mind is devastating. I think it's what is on everybody's mind. I've been traveling around the county. I was up in Jamaica, in Williamsville, South Newfane, and down here on Flat Street. It is really it's stunning, the extent of the damage, and actually also the resilience of our fellow Windham County residents, the speed with which they're working on the cleanup, even though many homes are a total loss. It's going to be months before some of these roads are going to be repaired, or some of these businesses are going to be back up in operation. People are making progress.
Very good. Thank you very much. And how about where you live? You said you were able to make it into town okay?
Well, for the first couple of days I was cut off. I live on a remote road in Townsend. There are three ways out from my house. All three of them were cut, including a culvert went out on the road that crosses the Townsend Dam. So it created a 20-foot wide gap, and that was about 20 foot deep, really a notch in the road. So you know, like most people, certainly really affected. But fortunately, we didn't have the damage that people in Williamsville, South Newfane have, Jamaica, Londonderry, and Wilmington, Dover, as well as, of course, downtown Brattleboro.
I see. Can you tell us if there's any possibility of any federal funds, disaster funding, coming into this area to assist any of those people who did not, in fact, have flood insurance on their properties?
Well, there are two issues about FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, which has, I think, been very responsive. Although the state has also been very, very proactive, and the local population's been very proactive. We're definitely not Katrina here. The FEMA will provide 75% of the cost of repairing state and municipal infrastructure. So repairing roads, damaged public buildings, things of that nature, and that's of course hugely important because the costs in these towns is going to be millions, tens of millions of dollars, and that would be a real blow to the taxpayers, a big jump in the municipal tax rate. Even the towns would pay 12.5%, the state 12.5%. Even the 12.5% is going to be very expensive, but far better than having to pay the whole thing. Now, for individuals, the assumption is that you have insurance, and the problem is that many people do not have flood insurance because they don't live in a floodplain, and they didn't expect that flooding would be a problem. They are going to be eligible for low-cost loans, but a loan is helpful only to the extent that you can repay it. If it's lower cost, then obviously it's easier to repay. But if you can't be sure your business is going to be making money, then it's hard to justify a loan. And if you need to borrow money to rebuild your house and you can't repay it, again, that is a problem that people will have. I think there's little that can be done now about that, aside from maybe some emergency assistance to people. But I think one of the things that we need to fix is the way in which insurance is sold in the state. I think most homeowners assume that if they were not in the floodplain, that their all-risk homeowners policy covered all risks. And I think it needs to be made very explicit that flooding is not covered. I think the policies ought to automatically include a flood insurance rider at a reasonable cost if you're not in a floodplain. and then maybe if somebody wishes to decline that extra cost, fine. But the notion that it's not included, you understand why you need special flood insurance in a floodplain. It's a frequent event and it's expensive, and therefore it's a cost of choosing to live there. But around, what we're talking about now is basically a once in 100-year flood. The last time there was a comparable event was 1938. And so the risk is of this kind of damage is 1 in 100, 1 in 70, and there ought to be a way in which people are insured in that, as they are insured against the 1 in 100 risk that that their house might burn down or be burgled. So I think that's something that we need to look at as we look at the whole insurance question.
That's for sure. I definitely agree with you on that one. Well, listen, we thank you very much for your comments today, and we look forward to seeing you again here in Brattleboro, sir.
Well, it's a great privilege to be representing Brattleboro. Anyhow, a place I come often, but today really it's not for shopping, but to see what's happened to my friends and neighbors, and to figure out what it is that we'll need to do in the legislature next year.
Very good. Thank you very much, Senator, for coming. We look forward to seeing you soon.
Okay, great.
Have a good day.